Connor recently had a post blow up on LinkedIn as he does almost daily at this point. If you're not following on LinkedIn, I don't know what you're doing or how you even are found this podcast, but go check out Connor on LinkedIn. Obviously, mega celebrity over there. He had a post talking about prompting because there is an article out of the information titled "Is the End of Prompt Engineering Here?" And this is a very compelling case. This is something that Connor and I have went back and forth on over the last number of years, and something that Connor has been very adamant about his detest for the title prompt engineer. So I'm kicking this over to you, Connor. Tell us what's going on with prompt engineering today.
Well, first of all, of course, prompt engineering, the technical term there is, of course, still really valuable. That's an essential thing when people are, are figuring out how to create these models and build out new models with it. I don't mean that. It is the idea that we need to learn how to prompt before we use these tools. So I do a lot of training with enterprise, as you know, and it's completely behavioral based. I have never liked the idea of prompt engineering, and the reason is that it gives people, I think that it slows adoption. That's my hot take. I think that the reason we're 2 years in here and adoption is still very, very low in terms of, if people are using it, people should be using this 20 or 30 times a day, like you do and like I do. But instead we're teaching it as if like, here, you have to learn this skill of prompting first. And I'm talking about that as, look, all you have to do is really talk to it like a person. Prompting is essentially being conversational. Prompting is essentially giving good instructions, giving context, et cetera, et cetera. And now there's even more information. This was not my headline, guys. I don't write for the information. This is Stephanie Palazzolo talking about this, about saying like, look, this looks like, we're sort of coming close to the end of prompting, not just because it was maybe never as critical as people thought, but also, and what I say, it's like the last 5% to refine. Yes, good prompts, of course, do well in the same way good communication does well. But Jaeden, the thing you and I were talking about is that it's not even that anymore. Now the machines can help you prompt. You just have to sort of like blurt out stuff that you want, and it will help you prompt, which even lowers the barrier even more for people who need to try this stuff out, right?
Right, 100%. So I think you have a good point there, and I think there's a lot happening in this field. Specifically, two things have come out, which is that OpenAI and Anthropic are both working on tools that help improve your prompts. So even if you weren't great at all the magical exact terms, like they're making these models better and better at understanding what you're saying. If you can clearly describe what you want, it's not like, oh, you didn't use the right keyword, sorry, it's not going to do it correctly. Like these models are getting better, even to the point where Anthropic came out with a new tool called Improve Prompt. It's in beta when they released it, but essentially they have a prompt improver or optimizer that you can write out a prompt. This is more in their like developer section, I think. So like if you're using their API and kind of making things for businesses, but you put in a prompt and there's a little button at the bottom that says Improve Prompt, and it's going to essentially give you some pointers and some tips to help you make this thing better. So I think overall, like, that is powerful. What OpenAI is doing is powerful. These models are needing clearly defined prompts less and less. And I think what becomes really, really powerful at the end of the day with all of this is building tools and systems that can really do more for automation. So like, will the prompt engineer be a term or like a title that, people are making side money going and improving people's prompts forever? Probably not. Like, I don't really see that. But will the automation expert that builds out an entire automation and knows the best tools and prompts and ways to tie everything that you're doing together be like a thing of the future? Yes, I think it will. Now, of course, I know even that has some arguments because people are saying, well, look, with what OpenAI is allegedly going to release in January and what Anthropic just released, where it can kind of take over your screen and do stuff. Well, what do you need like a person to automate the whole thing for? I think that those still will only go so far, and I think people that can clearly define a very outlined automation are going to give you. So essentially what I'm saying is if you have a software or a tool that can automate like a thing, for example, you have a newsletter every week and you build a tool that has specific prompts, it goes from specific data sources, it puts it into your specific tool, it does things the way, has your tone and brand of your company. You can build that whole automation with software and with someone using AI to essentially do it, but someone building it. I think you'll get a better quality and repeatable output that you can count on from a tool that's built, like hard built, versus just having the Anthropic or even whenever OpenAI releases their thing that takes over your computer, the agent, versus having an agent. Because the problem with the agents is they'll do things the way that they think they should do them. But it's just like if I went, if I hired 10 employees to send my newsletter every week and I told them all to send it, I get 10 different variations of the newsletter. Some would be fantastic, some would be terrible. But if I want them to be consistent, exactly how we do it every single time, you got to put a lot of time and energy into that. And I think the best way is kind of like a hard coded automation. But that's
Yeah.
where I stand on it.
No, I agree. And I think that's where prompting at this stage really comes in really useful. If you are prompting if you're building a chatbot, or if you're building rather a customer service tool for your company, the prompting behind that has to be really clear. It has to be, but that's more technical. But Jaeden, let me push you on that even, because I'm not even sure that that's not starting to go away. In other words, the best customer service people will hear what you're trying to do and understand how to solve it for you, right? You're not going to need all the language. Jaeden speaks fluent French, as some of you may know. He spent a lot of time in France. And when I was doing a French immersion, 4 weeks of French immersion, hear me out here for a second, folks. I'm going somewhere with this. We didn't study we didn't study nouns. We only studied how people talk, like pronouns, verbs, things like that, right? How people normally talk. And I say that because our teacher was like, I don't need you. And this is all in French. It was an immersion, 4-week immersion course. I don't need you memorizing a lot of these things. You can just, when you run into trouble, just describe it. So it's, it's this thing that has this thing and it kind of looks like this. So you already use it. And then your French teacher's like, oh, you must mean a table, or you must mean a poltergeist, or like whatever it is. Point being, that's what it feels like prompting these tools. I'm sorry, like these technologies are able to do more and more. They're going to be able to understand, oh, I know what you're talking about, Connor. What you actually want is this. And I don't see any way we turn back, Jaeden. I think that is the future, and that's the future of prompting. And it's just going to get less and less important for us to be able to phrase things in a certain way.
100%. The only exception that I will say is that subject matter experts often know what they're looking for and what they need better. So like, I would never trust myself with ChatGPT to write up like a legal document. For example, let's say a company sues you because they don't like that. They think that the name of your company is too similar to their name. I would never, like, me and ChatGPT sit down and kind of devise my response to that issue. I would go hire an IP attorney and have them do some fantastic research and come up with some fantastic precedent, use all of their legal tools and stuff. And I think we're going to see sort of the same thing with like AI. It's people are like, oh, AI is going to kill lawyers and AI is going to kill like X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, these people are very good at what they do. They have a background. I don't even know where to begin with this stuff. And if AI gives me, I don't know how to tell if a response out of ChatGPT is good or bad. Because something that I think sounds good, someone that's an expert is like, that's not good because of X, Y, and Z reasons. So I think that the prompting will become less and less important, but the expertise behind it of the person sort of in charge of the system, whatever that system is, I think will still be quite useful.
Okay, I love this point because it goes to the point that humans are still critical here, folks. So listen, we're gonna wrap this up, but here's what I love, first of all, about Jaeden's phrasing. We have to be careful, Jaeden. We can't say, is AI going to kill lawyers? Because people are going to sort of think about like AI literally killing lawyers. Is it going
Wait for the robots?
Exactly. No, instead, guys, it's exactly what Jaeden's saying is exactly right. The technology is advancing very quickly, but our ability to catch up with it is advancing more slowly. We need you. AI needs you. This is not going to take your job. You are going to use this to enhance your job. That's where we're going with this. And I love that Jaeden points out the subject matter experts. We can't replace that. You can say, oh, ChatGPT. No, that is not true, because in your company, in your specific role, everything else, you understand what quality looks like in your role. Yes, ChatGPT can give you a generic what a good shoe company marketing thing would look like, but it can't do what you can do for your company. That's all I wanted to say. I think that's the exciting part, and this is why we need humans still.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the podcast today. We hope that you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Hope this was insightful. And if it was, if you could do us one small favor, leave us a review. It would make our hearts so happy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next time.